Om Sai Ram. Welcome, fluent English-speaking students. We are here in front of a beautiful chapter. I must know the truth. Everyone wants to know about themselves, and they want to know about their parents, especially your mother. Your mother's your first teacher. She brings you up, she takes care of you, she introduces you to your father, and then your father ideally introduces you to your guru. So it's very important to know about yourself and about your parents. So this story is written by a younger sister about her older sister. And she tells about how the older sister found out something very shocking about her background. So we have here the objectives of this lesson. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to read and understand an exciting story in English. You will be able to use relative clauses. You'll see how clauses relate to other causes. Use phrasal verbs, verbs that are expressive, more than just a simple verb, a phrase that really conveys the message. Express your preferences in speech. How do we communicate with people? Mostly by speech. So we want to communicate our preferences, and we'll learn how to do that in this lesson. Edit your own writing. Now, this is the author. This lady's name, actually girl, is Simi. She's the younger sister of the main character in this story. It starts off that shortly before the annual dance show of the Kamala Devi School of Dance and Music, before it commenced, that's the Simi, the lady I just showed you, okay? She slipped backstage once more and hugged her. She went back, you see there's a stage set up, and then on the sides they have dressing rooms, okay? So the younger daughter went to her older daughter and hugged her, went away, and then came back and hugged her again, okay? And then the older sister said, "See what you've done, okay?" Wailed my sister. "You've crushed the flowers in my hair." You know how sisters are. There's always a little bit of friction sometimes. She patted, her hair back into place and arranged the pleats of her Bharatanatyam dress. "Oh, you look great," I told her. Simi's just trying to make her sister feel really good about this presentation. "In fact, you look very beautiful." My sister, because it's the same sister, they've grown up together, did not believe me. She turned towards the mirror and looked at herself. Our eyes met. You know, you look in a mirror and two people are looking and their eyes meet. So we have, in this first paragraph, we have a nice vocabulary. We have shortly before annual. Annual means once in a year. And then we have commenced. Commenced is a more profound word for began. Slipped. She slipped backstage. She went very inconspicuously. She just wanted to go. She didn't want to be the center of attraction. She just wanted to go back and see her sister. And then she hugged her. When you hug somebody, you put both arms around the person and you embrace them sweetly and tenderly. So the sister wailed, "Look what you've done to my flowers. You've crushed my flowers." So wailed means complain sadly. She wanted to look perfect for this dance performance. And we have crushed. Crushed my flowers, spoiled my flowers. You made them smaller. Patted. So she patted her hair back into place because she wanted to look good. Pleats. Pleats is another name for folds. When you have your sari, you want them nicely pleated, nicely folded. And she stared, okay? She stared at herself. She looked at herself. She wants to make sure she looks fantastic. Why did her sister not believe her? She said, "You look beautiful." But sisters are just that way. They think sometimes there's an ulterior motive, okay? She did look beautiful, But you'll find out she has darker skin than her sister. Simi has really light skin. She's very fair. And Ardhana has darker skin. So the older sister didn't believe that she looked fantastic because she didn't feel that she looked fantastic herself. "You are beautiful," whispered my sister. This is what Ardhana said to Simi. Even without the flowers, ornaments, and all this. And she brushed down her silken dress. "You are so..." And then Simi thought, this sister has said this so many times before, okay? I know what she was going to say. Fair, fair, okay? Because she's very fair, very light complexion. And Ardhana has a darker complexion. "I felt anger arise in me. Fair, as if that was all that mattered. Mattered most. More than a good figure, a chiseled face, more than the beauty that lies within. I knew," Simi's feeling this, "I wasn't as beautiful as she, with her fine, regular features, and I wasn't even half as talented as her. What did it matter if she had darker skin than me? It doesn't matter, does it?" But to Ardhana, it did matter. So let's go through the vocabulary quickly. "You're beautiful," whispered my sister. So Ardhana said, "You're beautiful," in a whisper. Why do you think the author was getting angry? She was getting angry because the older sister has told her this many times before, that you're lighter, I'm darker, and she puts herself down. And the younger sister wants the older sister to realize that you're much more than your complexion, much more than the color of your skin. What does this statement indicate about the nature of the author? It shows that the author appreciates good qualities in her sister, okay? And looks for the positive side, not the negative side. So here we have Ardhana. Her skin is just a little darker than Simi's. Not real dark, but a little darker. And she's rolling her eyes up. Why is she rolling her eyes up? You'll find out. "Look," Simi said, "you are great and beautiful. You'll prove it today." Ardhana smiled and said, "You better leave now, Simi. Keep your fingers crossed." That means be quiet and hope that I do well. As Simi turned to leave, she saw Dadama, okay, that's another name for grandmother, and Aunt Pramila making their way through the crowd of excited girls. All around the stage were a lot of girls, okay, because they're in the performance after Ardhana dances. And so the aunt and the grandmother had to make their way through to the dressing room to talk to Ardhana. They made their way through the crowd of excited girls. And so Ardhana sees Aunt Pramila, and she rolls up her eyes. Uh-oh. In mock horror. She's pretending to be scared. If it isn't a bad omen. They obviously don't get along together too well. And Aunt Pramila is very brisk in her statements, as you'll find out. "Come on, Ardhana," Simi said. I chuckled. "Don't be mean. Smile. Smile. Bharatanatyam style. That shouldn't be difficult for you." So let's look at some of the words. Keep. Sit still and be quiet, okay? Keep your fingers crossed. Just sit still and watch the play and wish me some good luck. Making their way, coming. They were making their way through. The grandmother and the aunt were making their way through the crowd. Mock. She rolled her eyes up. Oh, mock horror. She wasn't really afraid, but she was showing to Simi that she didn't really appreciate Aunt Pramila coming. Horror is fear. She wasn't really afraid, but she had a little worry in the back of her mind, okay? Omen. We all have heard the word omen, okay? It's a nice omen when you see something beautiful when you first wake up. Or you go to a house and the first person that greets you is a beautiful person and greets you with a warm smile. It's a good omen. It's a good sign. Chuckled. Chuckle is when you laugh in a suppressed way. You you chuckle, okay? Not outward, but you chuckle. It's a cute way to laugh. Why did Ardna roll her eyes up? What is her impression of Aunt Pramila? We discussed this a little bit, but she rolled her eyes up because Aunt Pramila is a little bit forward in her talks, and they haven't gotten along together very well before. So she wants at her dance everybody to be happy and not say things that weren't good. So what is her impression of Aunt Pramila? It's just not. It's not a warm feeling between aunt and the cousin. So out in the crowd is the grandfather. He came to see her, okay, with the grandmother and the mother and the father, and they want to see Ardna dance. The grandmother, who suffered from rheumatism, waddled towards the sister. My mother appeared from behind her. So we have three people. We have Aunt Pramila, we have the grandmother, and we have the mother, okay? And we'll find out the mother's name in just a minute, okay? And then the mother said, in her ambassador voice, an ambassador is very proud and very authoritative, okay? And she says, look who are here to wish you, Ardna, okay? And she's pointing to the grandmother and Aunt Pramila, okay? She gave sister one of her best smiles. And when you smile, you always look better and younger, okay? My mother looks 10 years younger when she smiles. The mother adjusted Ardna's blouse and patted her on the shoulders. Grandfather has come too. We just saw grandfather. He looks very happy. He's sitting in the front row, so has your father. Ah, how forgetful of me. She held my sister at arm's length and said gently. So she said she forgot something, okay? But in this paragraph there's some good words. Rheumatism. You may not know what that is, but that's an inflammation of the joints. A lot of older people have rheumatism. They can't move their fingers very well. And when your hips don't move very well, you waddle like a duck. Waddled, walked. You walk like a duck. Ambassador, representative. The ambassador from India has to be very formal, very well dressed, and speak beautiful languages, especially English when he goes to UK and to America. Adjusted, okay? Ardna's blouse was a little bit off, so she adjusted it. She set it right, made it perfect. First row of the auditorium was the first line of chairs. What does the word ambassador voice indicate about the author's mother? It means the mother is a very noble person and lives correctly and wants to do things right and speaks with a tone of authority. Why do you think the author's mother was telling to Ardna? Why do you think the author's mother is telling to Ardna, okay? Your grandfather has come. Because she wants Ardna to feel good. Look, your grandmother and grandfather, everybody's here cheering you on. Here's the grandmother right there, with a big smile on her face. She's backstage with Ardna and with Aunt Pramila, okay? We're so proud of you, Ardna. This is the mother talking. My dear, that you have been selected to inaugurate the annual show of your school. Father and I have something very special for you on this important event. We wanted to give it to you on your 18th birthday, which was coming up soon, next month, but we thought today would be a more appropriate occasion. We want you to wear it today. She turned to me and said, Simi, run and get it from your father. But Simi didn't know anything about this gift. She goes, what, Mommy? I asked, puzzled. What have you brought for Ardna? And then the mother says, but without explaining, she goes, never mind, said my mother. She sighed, never mind. I'll get it myself. You help grandmother and Aunt Pramila back to their seats. So here the mother is trying to get grandmother and Aunt Pramila away from Ardna, okay, to their seats, because she doesn't trust Aunt Pramila, okay? But you'll see what happens next. perform the opening ceremony is inaugurate. And that's what Ardna was going to do with her dance. Event is a function or occasion. This was a big event. Once a year they have this event. Appropriate. Appropriate means suitable. And puzzled. Puzzled, she was confused, all right? Simi had never heard about this present. She didn't know anything about it. Why are they so proud of Ardna? Because the mother said, we are so proud of you. Why? Because she's been selected to open, to inaugurate this whole performance. The whole evening is inaugurated by Ardna. So, here, the mother says, grandmother, you and Aunt Pramila go back. But grandmother says, step back to Simi. She goes, move back, protested the grandmother. I haven't even had time to look at Ardna properly. I haven't exchanged a single word with her. Okay? Let me look at you, child. So the grandmother wasn't pushed around by the daughter, okay? So she just held there, looked at Ardna, okay? She regarded my sister tenderly. She looked at her and thought, wow, what a beautiful granddaughter I have. You look wonderful, and you have a good figure. What a good figure you have. Don't neglect it, dear, like I did. Now the grandmother is a little bit bigger, okay? You saw the picture of her, like I did. So Ardna, what she said was, no, very sweetly, okay? Ardna replied politely. Not a loud speaker, she's very polite. You are a real young lady, that's what you are, said the grandmother. Soon we'll have to start looking for a suitable match for you. Now let's go through some of the words. Protested, complained. Grandmother did not want to be shooed away. She wanted to talk to Ardna. Tenderly is softly, softly and lovingly. Politely is humbly. When you're humble, you're very polite. What is grandmother telling Ardna by this phrase? I haven't exchanged a single word. She's saying, I haven't had a chance to connect, okay? She wants to connect with her. They haven't exchanged a single word. Dharma, please, because Ardna was a little embarrassed. She goes, Ardna threw an embarrassed glance around her, and then the grandmother turns to the other daughter, okay, her name is Pramila. Time is flying, sighed grandmother, and turned to Aunt Pramila. She asked, isn't it, Pramila? Okay. So, Aunt Pramila said, it certainly is. My aunt nodded. It certainly is, okay, very strong voice. It seems just yesterday when Sunita, this is the name of her sister, which is the mother of Ardna, it seems it was just yesterday when Sunita brought her home, talking about Ardna, how skinny she was, skinny and dark. Not a nice thing to say, right? I gasped. Here, Simi's back there trying to make her sister feel good, and the aunt says that your sister's skinny and dark right before she's going to dance. So I gasped and stared aghast at Aunt Pramila. How on earth could she say such hurting words in front of Ardna? So let's look at some of the words. Embarrassed, okay? When grandmother said, we're going to find a match for you, Ardna was embarrassed. Okay, glance is another word for look. She gave a little glance, a tiny look. Nodded. My aunt nodded. Yes, yes, time is flying. The aunt nodded. Okay, skinny. Skinny is kind of a negative term for thin, okay? Thin is a much nicer word to use. Skinny looks like you're too thin. Gasped. When Aunt Pramila said that, Simi just gasped. She goes, how could she say that? You have an open mouth. And hurting, of course, as we all know, is painful. It's not nice. Why is Ardna embarrassed? Because she's only 7, almost 18, but she's not thinking about marriage yet, and she doesn't like to talk about it right now. And what did the mother reacted in this manner to the author? Why did the author react in such a manner as to the aunt's words, because they were not kind words. And this is a special event where Ardna should be supported by her family. The sister was just aghast. So the sister's thinking, didn't she know how touchy Ardna was about her dark complexion? And why did she have to hang on it today of all days? She's thinking, why mention this today? How skinny, okay, and dark she was. Why do it today? Okay, this is what Simi is thinking. So the grandmother heard this and said, hush, Pramila, okay? My grandmother's voice had an edge. It was a strong edge, okay? Do be quiet. She told her sister to be quiet, okay? Then seizing Aunt Pramila, grasped her, okay? Okay? By the elbow, she pulled her aside, whispering fiercely, not in a nice way, strongly. Hey, you shouldn't talk like that, you know, all the time. I looked at Ardna, okay? The bruised look in her eyes hurt me immensely. Ardna felt bad. Here she'd just been called skinny and dark, okay? And she doesn't like to think about how dark she is. I groped for her hand and squeezed it. So she reached her hand and squeezed it like a nice little sister. And she says, forget her. She's mad and mean and miserable. The 3 M's you don't want to be, okay? My sister gave a small laugh, which sounded like a cry. She tried to laugh, but she was actually crying inside. Touchy means that Ardna was sensitive, very sensitive about her complexion, and easily hurt. Okay, complexion, it's the color of the skin. What difference does it make? There's many colors of skin all over the world. It's the variety of the world that makes it exciting. Edge, sharpness, okay? Do be quiet. Very sharp, not nice, but got the point across. Holding, seized, okay? She seized, all right? She seized Pramila and pulled her away. Fiercely, she was talking cruelly. Why did you say that? Why did you say that? Okay? Hurt, bruised. Poor Ardna, her whole demeanor was bruised by the statement that her aunt had made. She's trying to feel good and she's nervous about dancing, and then her aunt says this. She was hurt. And so, of course, Simi was pained by this. It pained her that the aunt was like that, immensely, greatly. She was really pained in her heart. She felt really bad. I groped. She wanted to cheer up her sister, so she reached over, groped her hand, and squeezed it. Can you indicate one characteristic of Ardna from this question, okay? Well, she's very sensitive, okay? She was about her dark complexion. This is one characteristic she has. Here she is beautiful, beautiful features, beautiful figure, beautiful dancer, but everybody thinks a little bit less of them. They don't have an ego complex. They think they're not as good as they really are. And she was touchy about this. What is the author trying to do by saying these words to Ardna, okay? She's trying to make her sister feel better. The aunt has always said things in the past. She says she's mad, mean, and miserable, okay? The aunt is not very happy. So when you're not happy, you want people to come to you and be unhappy with you. So the younger sister was giving some advice to her older sister. So, a lot of this play is about beauty, especially this first part, okay? What is beauty? Beauty in the eyes of the beholder has a literal meaning, okay? That the perception of beauty is subjective. What one person finds beautiful, another may not. So, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Have you ever heard of this proverb? You may have heard it before. What is your understanding? The understanding is what some people like, other people don't like, okay? And so we try to have a positive attitude. We think that everybody is beautiful in their own way. Even if they're not beautiful on the outside, they can be beautiful on the inside. The origin of this proverb, okay, This saying first appeared in the 3rd century before Christ, okay, 2,400 years ago, in Greek. It didn't appear in English and in its current form until it was printed in the 19th century. That's the 1800s. But in the meantime, there were various written forms that expressed much the same thought. Meaning of the proverb. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Different people have different ideas and views about what is beautiful. Everybody has their own view. Not all people have the same opinions about what is attractive and beautiful. They have their own opinion. The perception of beauty is subjective. It's not objective, it's subjective. It depends on what you think. It is not possible to judge beauty objectively. We have to look at much more than just the outer. We have to look at the inner. What one person finds beautiful may not appeal to another. And we have to let everybody have their own opinion. The inner beauty is more important than the outer beauty. And so we all know that. There can be an older person, not very attractive outside, but inside they're full of love. And you like to be with them. Now we have Sathya Sai Baba. What does he say? Swami's quotation. He says, if there's righteousness in the heart, there will be beauty in the character. So you start with righteousness and you'll be beautiful in your character. If there is beauty in the character, there will be harmony in the home. The home will get along nicely. If there's harmony in the home, there will be order in the nations. If the homes are all harmonious, the whole nation will be harmonious. And where there's order in the nation, there will be peace in the world. So beauty is part of the worldwide peace. What is the beauty that Swami is talking about here? He's talking about the beauty of your character. By being righteous, okay, and having good character, that's the real beauty that will give peace to the whole world. Certain questions to ponder over from these first few pages of our story. How much importance do you give to skin complexion? You know, it's not really important, is it? We don't want to give too much importance to it. Is skin complexion associated to self-esteem of a person? Well, it could be, but it doesn't have to be, okay? Everybody has different skin complexion. So what? Why do people want to be fair? Because of advertising. Advertising that's been around for a long time, 100 years anyway, seems to think that fair or white is much nicer than black, okay? The fact is, we don't have a choice, all right? And it's not because of advertising, it's what's inside of you that really counts. What is wrong with being dark-skinned? Nothing is wrong. In fact, we'll show you, okay? Do you know? Our Hindu gods, like Lord Krishna, Lord Rama, and Goddess Kali, are all dark in complexion. Dark is divine. It's made by God. Of course it's divine. Now we have a few questions to see how attentive you've been during the first couple pages. Who hugged the dancer? All right? Remember, somebody came back and they hugged the dancer. Who was that? Was it the mother, the aunt, her friend, or her younger sister? It was her younger sister, Simi. Went back there and gave her a hug. 2. Which of these qualities is not important in a dancer? A good figure? It's nice to have a good figure when you're dancing. You don't want to be 400 pounds in dancing. Fine features? Nice to look good too, you know. Fair complexion? Is the color important? Not really. Some people could have a little darker complexion. So what? They can still be a good dancer, right? And a talent for dancing. You need to have a talent for dancing. So the answer is a fair complexion. That's the quality that's not important. Why did Ardna think she was not beautiful? Because her skin was a little bit darker than her sister's and a little bit darker than the rest of her family. Do you agree with her? Of course not. She's the one who's going to dance for the opening of the school. So let's go ahead here. Number 3, who are the people that came to wish Ardna? Okay, we know that the grandmother came back there with Aunt Pramila and the mother, all right? That was after Simi had already wished her. And the mother said, look who's here to wish you, okay? So we have the grandmother and Aunt Pramila and the mother all going back to wish her success. And then the mother said, even outside we have grandfather and we have your father, all wishing you. B, who was she not particularly keen to meet? Ardna did not really want to meet Aunt Pramila, okay? Pick out the words from the text in support of your answer. Do you remember? She rolled her eyes, okay, and she said, bad omen. Those words show that she's not really hot about seeing Aunt Pramila. 4, why were Ardna's family members proud of her? Because she's doing the inaugural dance for the school. She's the first one who's going to perform. Why did Ardna's mother leave the stage? Well, she went to go get the nice necklace, okay? And she told Simi, shoo away Aunt Pramila and the grandmother because the dance is going to start pretty soon. That's why she left, to go get the necklace. 5, she is mean, mad, and miserable. Who was Simi referring to? Aunt Pramila. What was the mean thing she said? Dark and skinny. Not compliments. Very negative. Do you agree with Sunita? Okay? Sunita's the mother. The mother said to her, we're proud of you. You're going to have the opening dance. We're so proud of you to inaugurate this function. Of course, we agree with Sunita. That's the mother of Simi and Ardna. We do agree with her. So let's go over the vocabulary. A lot of vocabulary in this chapter, okay? And what's nice about NIOS, they put it in context. So we learn the words in context. It's easy to remember the meaning that way. Annual, once a year. Commenced, began. Okay, before the program commenced, this is when all these events took place. Slipped, went quietly. Hugged, the embrace. Nice to get a hug. Wailed. Oh, Ardna wailed. Complained sadly. Crushed. Spoiled the hair. Crushed the flowers. Patted. She brushed her hair. Pleats. On her sari, she put her pleats nice and straight. Pleats are folds. Stared. You stare at somebody, you look at them. Okay, you looked at them. It's a little bit more than just a casual glance, casual look. Whispered. Hey, you know, this, you say it in a soft voice. You whisper. Hurting. Painful. And we have touchy. She was touchy about the complexion. Ardna thought she was dark, and she was hoping that she wasn't dark. But you can't change the color of your skin, okay? It was easily hurt. So we have a few more words. Talented. Ardna was talented. She could really dance. Complexion. Color of the skin. We've talked about that. Hang on. To repeat. So what happened was Aunt Pramila went on about this dark color and skinny. Why did she have to talk about that today? Hang on. Why did she hang on that comment in front of Ardna? Edge. She talked with an edge in her voice. Sharpness. Come here. Okay. Don't say that. Seizing. When you seize something, you grab it hardly and quickly. You're holding something. Fiercely. Fiercely is cruelly, okay? You're being very adamant about what you're doing there. Bruised. When you're bruised, you're hurt. You fall down, you bruise your elbow, you bruise your wrist, you're hurt. Hurt is pain. It's not nice to be hurt. Immensely. Greatly. Groped. You're looking for something and you're not looking, you're groping. You're groping with your hand. Fumbled. You're searching for something. Squeezed. She took the hand of her sister and squeezed it with a reassuring touch. Chiseled. Okay? Ardna had nice sharp features. Chin, nose, okay? Everything looked really sharp, looked beautiful. Mock. She rolled her eyes up in mock horror. She wasn't really afraid. Hor is fear. Omen. Aunt Pramila was a bad omen. It was not a good sign seeing her right before she was dancing. Waddled. The grandmother walked like a duck. She waddled. Adjusted. Sit right. Set right. Okay? She sat right. She sits right. She set right. Let's go to row. The rows in the auditorium. First row is the first line. Puzzled. When you're puzzled about something, you're confused. You're puzzled about the answer you're going to give. Glance. That's a quick look. Okay, you glance over there, you glance over there. A quick look. Stared, you give a long look. Nodded. When you nod, you agree. Okay, you don't have to say something. You're agreeing with the nodding. Skinny means thin. Okay. Not a nice word for skinny. Not a nice word for thin, but skinny is the word people use sometimes. Tenderly, softly, lovingly. Very nice. Politely. We always want to be on the polite side. Humbly. Held at arm's length. Remember, the mother came in, held her at arm's length, okay, and looked at her. Keep her far, so she could get a good look at her. Event. This was the opening event. It was the opening annual presentation. Nice occasion. Appropriate. When you do something appropriately, it's suitable. It's the right thing to do. It's appropriate. Ambassador. We all want to be like an ambassador. We want to be strong in our words, truthful, and outright. Protested. You protest, you're complaining about something. You're making a complaint about something. Making their way. They were making their way through the crowd. They were coming ahead, making their way. Embarrassed. When you're embarrassed, you're a little bit shy. Remember, Ardna was embarrassed that her grandmother wanted her to get married, okay, or thinking about finding a suitable match. She was a little perplexed, and she's a little shy about talking about that. She's only 17, hasn't even turned 18. Inaugurate. Perform the opening ceremony. It's always fantastic to go to an inauguration. So many people are there, and everybody's happy, and you're inaugurating some new function or new building. Chuckled. Ha ha ha. Laugh in a suppressed way. And rheumatism, disease of the joints. We don't want to get rheumatism. We want to be flexible, have good exercise, and not get rheumatism. Gasped. Poor Simi. She was shocked when Aunt Pramila said that, skinny and dark, in front of Ardna. She gasped, okay? So now we've gone through the vocabulary. We've started this program, which is going to be in 3 to 4 parts. It's a long, beautiful story. It'll get us in charge of our emotions. It'll show you what is really truthful in the world. And that's the inner beauty that you have. And we'll find out what happens to Ardna and how the dance performance came. And we'll go over some beautiful lessons. And we'll do the objectives that we talked about in the beginning. Om Sai Ram.